They told me for years there was no money in podcasting. Well, they were all wrong. Very interesting. I have a lot of faith in Gen Z. I'm pulling for Gen Z. I don't know if I am Gen Z or millennial. I'm on that border. Christian, I believe you're also on that border.
I think we're both under. We're definitely under millennial. I'm pretty sure. I would say.
Google that. Look up the age range for millennials, because I think some of them like in their 40s. And yeah, make sure that's full screen.
Yep.
I'm not looking at myself.
Let's see.
Let's Google year range for millennials and Gen Z. I'm gonna guess oldest is gonna be like 38 to probably 29. Maybe 40 to 29.
So here is what
we got here.
The interweb is saying. Gen Z's 1997.
Okay, so
I'm 94.
I'm 95. So like we'll be technically we're in the border millennials. Now what's that source from? That's from.
This is Beresford Research.
I don't know if Beresford is credible.
Yeah, but, I don't know.
But also like who the fuck decides these things?
I mean, see, I was this close to going to Wikipedia, so I think this is a little bit more.
Hey man, Wikipedia is a fine source for most things.
Let's see what
shop around, because I've seen millennials as like as 94. I think was last time I googled it was like 94. What we got from Wikipedia? Zoom in on this, yeah, so we can see it.
So we got
early 80s. I agree.
Early
with the
80s.
80s.
So
early 80s to mid 90s.
I consider. See, my brother is 81, and I consider both of us millennials. And it says born from 1981 to 1996.
Okay.
Right.
So I guess how would you define a generation? So Google.
There's a nice little chart here.
It is a nice little chart. It's very cute. It's like the greatest generation was like our grandparents. Yeah, that's great. So the silent generation. What the fuck is the silent generation? Hold up. All right. Hold up. Right. Pause. Like, the silent generation? What? What?
I need some background on that.
I also need some. Okay, so the lost generation. I like the lost. I go back to this. The lost generation. It's like, all right, dude, listen. The Civil War happens, and it's like shit was crazy here in America. I was gonna call these fuckers lost. All right, they didn't know what was going on. The greatest generation I thought was a little later. So the greatest generation is 1901, 1927, according to Wikipedia. I would have considered the greatest generation to like. I would switch to silent in the greatest generation. I would switch them because what really happened between 1901 and 1927? World War I.
World War I. That's what they're talking about. That's exactly what they're talking about.
Okay, so World War I is interesting, actually. Yeah, this is tricky, man. I've never heard of the silent generation because this kind of puts a monkey wrench into my own philosophy here. So, I would say the greatest generation, the silent generation, is the most transitional generation in human history, for sure. Like if you look at 1901 to 1940, well, let's go 1946 to the beginning of boomers. How much the world has changed. Think of warfare in 1901. They were borderline still lining up with drum sets to shoot each other in the
bayonets.
Face. Right, bayonets. To 1946, we dropped nuclear bombs. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then 15 years later, we had TV. And then 30 years later,
Man
we had
on the moon.
internet. Right? Like, the technological
space
explosion
race
was just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I know there's a question in there for the hardest working generation. I want to shelf that for another day. But yeah, okay. The generations is very interesting, like how they classify generations. So I've never heard of this.
And I'm not sure which one of them is interchangeable. I think Generation Z is also known as the latchkey kids.
The latchkey.
Have you heard of that?
I have not heard that.
So that is basically the generation of kids. I don't know if you remember, but and I definitely might have fell into that a little bit. But the generation of kids who had like kind of like a lanyard around their necklace with the key that extends, and then if you let go of it, it zips back up. It zips back to the where it came from.
That's funny.
I think that's actually it says also known as Generation X.
Gen X. I have heard Gen X.
So that's the kids that yeah, I guess I don't fall into that. According to our thing here, Generation X is 1965, 1980. Was raised by working parents who left them alone after school. So they had keys around their necks.
My friend in 5th grade had keys around his neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shout out to Kevin. That kid's amazing.